Joining us now, a man I guarantee will entertain you today in Studio B, Greg Wrubell. Greg, welcome back to the show.
Hello, Spencer. Jason.
So let's talk about Behind the Mic tonight and how things are going with the program thus far. Let's see. We're, what, 5 weeks into this now?
More than that, I think.
More than that?
Yeah, last time you came on was show 1, which was, I think, August 2nd.
Oh, so are we like 9 weeks into this thing?
We're 8 or 9 shows in, probably.
Wow.
And so we've worked our way around back to you. So
there you go.
Opening the show tonight. Yeah.
Kerry Roberts on the show, Brian Keel. Brian Keel will be entertaining. I will guarantee that.
He does not lack for an opinion.
I think all 3 of our guests will be entertaining tonight. I guarantee it.
Yes!
Oh, look at this.
Yes. And along those lines, our Twitter question today. I know that this puts you in a tough position because you're the guy that just calls it as it happens, but what games left on the BYU schedule do you look at as, okay, BYU should win this game?
Yeah, I'm taking a pass on this one. I'm a narrator. I'm a commentator. I'm not a prognosticator. My job is to call the games, not predict the games. So I'll just say that I think the Utah State game is a really linchpin game.
Oh, absolutely.
I think a lot about what's going to happen can be determined by how BYU plays in Logan a week from Friday. So I'm very intrigued. I think it's a compelling contest, and I think a lot of what we might expect in the back half will be determined on how well BYU plays in that game at Utah State. I think it's fascinating.
What do you make of, we've been talking about the Football Power Index and now BYU, 2 games that BYU was looked at favorably, the positive percentage in terms of winning. Now they're below. The home game against Boise State, on the road at Fresno State, which still baffles me. What do you make of those changes?
Well, the Fresno State game is kind of it's not overwhelming. It's kind of a pick 'em right now. But yeah, after the first 4 weeks, you have to adjust based on what you've seen from the team. So I don't think it's crazy that some projections have modified. BYU's played 4 games, and their performance in those 4 games is going to affect how people think about the remaining 9 games. Clearly, I think every game is going to pose its own set of challenges. But at the same time, this is kind of how things roll at BYU. They were 1-3 last year through 4 games, and they finished 9-4. If you look at BYU in the era of independence, yeah, September is going to be probably a barely above 500 month, and that's what it's been. Then October and November are high win months. You front load your schedule, you play the tougher teams, and then you play the more manageable teams the back part of the schedule. That's kind of how it's been almost every year.
Yeah,
and
what would ESPN's FPI be if BYU, let's say, opened up against San Jose State, UMass, and Fresno State? It would be a different story, don't you think?
Yeah, and you can look through from 2011 to now and see things play out kind of the way they have played out this year. Now, to a greater extent because of how BYU struggled in the margins of defeat. But they played back-to-back-to-back ranked teams, didn't beat any of them, and find themselves under 500 through 4 games in. The September-August record through in independence is just a little over 500, and then they really make up for it in October, November, December. Yeah.
What is the best part about having this bye week right now for BYU football?
A chance to, again, self-scout, figure out who's doing things well, how to get those guys on the field, where BYU's maybe had some success, maybe get rid of some things that aren't working so well, and really just to make kind of a chance to mentally regroup and reset. I think that's a positive right now. It comes at a good time for BYU because of how things have gone. I think they have to kind of reconvene and convince themselves that they're not as bad as things look in the last 3 weeks. It's a very tough run. It's a very tough slate. And I think the important thing is to restore confidence and be able to play a week from Friday a game that shows that you can be the team you thought you'd be at the start of the year.
You said that you thought the Utah State game was a linchpin game. So in terms of an on-the-field answer, what do you believe is the biggest improvement BYU needs to make prior to the game against the Aggies?
Well, I hope what they're able to do here in games moving forward is be a little more disruptive against the opposing team's pass attacks. I'm going to give you 3 numbers: 84, 76, 95. What are those 3 numbers?
Oh, no. Are those the pass completion percentages?
Of the last 3 opponents.
Oh.
Okay. That's got to come down considerably. 84, 76, 95. Okay, so BYU in defensive pass efficiency is not rating very well right now. They're about 109th nationally. Good news, of the last 9 opponents on the schedule, 4 of them are below BYU in that category, defensive pass, including Utah State. So hopefully BYU can be a little more disruptive relative to the pass game and see that pass completion percentage against it go down. Again, Utah State's one of those teams that's actually below BYU in defensive pass efficiency, so perhaps the Cougars' pass attack gets a little bit on track as well. That's the thing. Of the teams that are going to play here in the back half, the 8-line games this season, many of those teams are currently struggle to defend against the pass. And I think going back to what's important about the bye week is it gives Bo Hodge now a full 2-week run-up to his next game. He had a sense he was going to play, of course, in the last game and had a week of prep. But another full 2 weeks for he and Ty and the receivers to get in sync, I think will help too.
What did you make of Bo? I mean, I understand that he didn't have a ton of opportunities. He had the 2 picks, but I didn't come away with that thinking that the moment was too big for him.
Now, he can run around a bit and make some things happen. I mean, we saw, again, only the second rushing third down conversion of the season in that game, courtesy of the quarterback, and that's something that Taysom did so frequently at BYU. He was the go-to guy on third downs, throw it or run it, and we finally got a third down conversion rushing, and it was from Bo Hodge, not surprisingly. So he can do that for you. And again, yeah, I think there was he didn't look like the moment was too big for him, and he was totally flustered. I think it was a tough opponent against which to open in your first collegiate start. But again, a full 2 weeks and playing a team like Utah State, I think should put Bo in a good spot. And I think more as importantly is finding out who your go-to guys are as receivers right now and implementing them more. Maybe we'll talk about Micah Simon a bit when we talk about maybe guys who've impressed through the first 4 games, but he's certainly one of them.
Okay, yeah. So let's go there. Statistically speaking, and throw in the eye test a little bit. Who's been the most impressive player for BYU through the first 4 weeks?
And I hate to cop out and pick a few guys, but I want to kind of hit different parts of the field. And Fred Warner, defensively, 2/3 of his tackles have been solos. He leads the team in tackles. 2/3 are by himself. He's got multiple tackles for loss. He's got a fumble recovery, a fumble force, a pass breakup. He's probably been the most impactful guy, not surprisingly. But Fred's been very visible, and he's had to be. So I like Fred. Special teams, Johnny Linehan's been very reliable. I tweeted this stat out yesterday, but BYU's pass efficiency, or rather punt efficiency, it's kind of a boutique stat, but it's percentage of punts that are either net of 38 or better, or inside the 20 and or inside the 20. 84% of BYU's punts have been quote-unquote efficient, and that's about 20% better than the national average. So Johnny and the punt team, and that goes for the punt cover and everyone else, have done a good job that way. Even while BYU loses the field position game substantially right now, the punt game has been something to rely upon. And then offensively, a true freshman, Matt Bushman, leads the team in receptions, receiving yards. You like that. And then I'm going to go to Micah Simon. He's only been targeted 8 times. Okay, but he has 6 catches.
Huh.
Okay, and of the 6 catches, 4 are third down conversions. So he leads the team in third down conversions with very few reps, relatively speaking. And of those 8 targets, 6 he catches, and the other 2 are overthrows. One's a Tanner Mangum throwaway on the sidelines, and the other one was last week when it was just beyond. He got out with one hand, right, and Micah Simon got one hand on it. So really, when the ball is in his catch radius, he's making it. And so I like Micah for that reason, and hopefully he continues to see more reps and make more plays.
What kind of impact do you expect having Ula as the featured guy make moving forward, beginning with Utah State?
And back to the bye week, he benefits. If he's not been fully healthy, this gives him one more week of non-game action to get there. And he's going to have to be, I think, your workhorse guy. We hoped he'd get 20 carries last week, ended up with 13. Probably more a function of game script than anything else that he didn't get to 20. They were behind early and threw more. But I hope that Ula becomes and can be a 20-carry-a-game guy for BYU.
How much are you thinking about BYU basketball in this moment? Because don't blink.
It's close.
They start in a few weeks.
Yeah,
right?
What really helped was I got into the Annex on the weekend for their Alumni Day. And that is where all kinds of former players and coaches and current players and coaches were all there together. And there was pickup games with the older guys, and then practice with the newer guys, and that really got the blood running for basketball. So it'll be here soon enough. And I bought my preseason basketball magazines a couple weeks ago, and we're getting into those. And so it's that time of year, and it'll be here soon enough. And I'm genuinely intrigued by the combination of players BYU will be able to put out there this year, and maybe how they might look a little different from last year. I think we'll see more threes in the air than we saw last season, and hopefully a lot more made. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think intrigue is the word of the week, right? Because of the Utah State linchpin game, and then BYU basketball, a lot of questions swirling around that program. And intrigue certainly for the next cool thing about Canada.
Now, this thing might get less intriguing as we go.
A thing about Canada.
And some probably say it's already gotten to that point. But here's the thing. So NHL preseason has started. Preseason games are underway in the National Hockey League, which means that unofficially the quest for the Stanley Cup is underway. Not really, but kind of. Here's the deal. That's the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
That is that cup was first awarded in 1892. Okay.
Best trophy in sports, in my
It's got
opinion.
some history. Clearly, I mean, there's no debate. It's the best trophy in sports. So it's been awarded for a long, long time, 1892. So the thing about this is, it's the only trophy of the 4 big sports, MLB, NFL, Major League Baseball, and hockey, that is not made new every year. This one, of course, is passed. As you can tell, it gets passed around year to year to year. Every other major professional sports trophy, they make a new one every year for the next team, the next team, the next team, and so everyone can have trophies. Only one team gets that trophy. That's the cool thing about Canada, is the Stanley Cup is one of a kind, and it doesn't get remade every year. It's one trophy, and you just pass it from the next one team to the next. And by the way, Major League Baseball and the NFL, those trophies are only 50 years old. 1967 was when they first came into being, and the NBA trophy is only 40 years old. This one's over 100 years old.
That's amazing.
125 years old.
Eventually, though, it is going to run out of room.
Well, no, it does run out of room, and so there's only 5 removable bands, and so when they get their full, they take a band off and put a new one on. So some, the old teams are off it already. But no, you get on the name, and you stay on there for years and years.
Oh,
and years.
that is fantastic.
And being able to take it, like each member of the team gets to take it.
That's
awesome. That is pretty
It's the
cool.
best thing in sports.
I've always wanted to be a handler for the Stanley Cup. Like, how does one get that job?
I don't know, but I've touched the Stanley Cup. I have done that. Yeah, I have.
Did they know?
I handled it. I did handle it. I'm not the handler, but I handled
Was
it.
this approved?
Yeah.
Great stuff, Greg.
All right.
We appreciate the time. We'll see you tonight.
Don't be late.